The topic of this presentation is career development and transition, specifically looking at career development as a component of what we now currently call transition planning. The idea behind career development is really broader than just the idea of careers as we think of them or jobs. In its earliest days in the 1970s, when it was first used as a term, it was meant to talk about one interacting with his or her environment, the workplace being one of those environments, but also the community access, the growing independence of an individual across domains. So we need to look at this idea of career development as a little bit broader. And as we talk about developing awarenesses, that we're not just talking again about work-related situations, but also any situation within an individual's life. The typical stages of career development, or the beginning or the process of developing first knowledge and then a set of skills related to one's environment, and again, thinking of this within a work context or other contexts, is the idea of career awareness. Career awareness is really lends itself well to lower elementary grades because it has to do with the idea of being aware of why people work, of developing a work personality, of developing soft skills that are helpful to an individual in whatever setting they go into, particularly in the workplace, timeliness, punctuality, seeing through on tasks as independently as possible, appropriately asking for assistance, engaging in self-determination. All these things are skills that can be developed early so that they become actually part of that awareness phase. It's also during those elementary years that some of the individuals, as this picture kind of connotes, we start identifying with certain occupational role areas, and that's certainly to be encouraged. Certainly it doesn't determine someone's career path, but it has great input into them developing what interests them, what their future preferences might be. So it's not only understanding work roles, but understanding one's relationship to the absolute idea of work and in our society, and also how it affects our success in other domains. The next area is career exploration, and this lends itself more to upper middle or elementary or upper elementary or middle school. And it's at this point where we are really taking those early thoughts of awareness and preferences and interests, and we're starting to turn them into opportunities where one can actually explore different careers based on those early preferences or emerging preferences, so that when it comes time to choose career paths in the case of work, or if we're looking at the broader definition of career development in other domains of that individual's life, that they're able to explore different venues, so that it may be a workplace venue, it may be a future residential venue, whatever is on the horizon for that individual, where they'll need to be making decisions as they get a little bit older. This is a time for gathering the information with which they make informed decisions. So just reading about something may not give enough information. Actually trying things on, exploring, learning from the inside out what the different demands of different settings, both workplace and community-based types of settings are, that helps that individual later to make an informed decision in a more concrete way. The third is career preparation. This is actually putting the pedal to the metal. This is where we're saying that we've developed an idea of the world of work, why it's important, our place in the world of work, as well as our place in the larger community. We've explored different aspects of it. We've we've developed our repertoire of information. And from that repertoire, we've been able to perhaps zero in on some specific skills that we would like to be trained in, that we would like to develop, that we would like to see further become a part of our education. And so it's during the secondary years then that career preparation starts, has its roots, and certainly then follows into the adult life once that individual leaves school. But this whole continuum of the age, thinking of this in terms of ages really has credence when you think that to do this all at the secondary level would really shortchange it. And so it very much is a progression from basic awareness to actually information seeking based on some earlier preferences or interests or current preferences and interests, and then using that to make informed decisions about actually what we might choose as our areas of work. Or again, looking at that broader vision of career development, looking at the areas in which we might seek our roles and as adults, where we want to live, where we want to work, what community activities we want to be a part of. All of these can follow that same awareness, exploration, and then finally preparation, being involved in actually learning those skills that we need to be able to move into those domains. And then finally, job placement, or even, again, taking that broader perspective, we might be looking at making residential decisions, for example, whether one's going to live with family, whether one's going to live in a more supported setting, independent living, what someone is going to access as part of their adult roles. This is, again, where we move from the schooling part to the actual assimilation into those roles and into more successful, productive adult lives. So as we said, it really is a lifelong process. It's not something that we should just relegate to the secondary years, because we really are doing the process, not the due that we should be giving it. Assessing interests and preferences, again, during those early awareness and exploration phases, to be able to not only understand why work is important, but how do I fit into that, and what are my interests that I have that I might want to pursue? How do I investigate those interests? How do I even know what I'm interested in? To what do I need to be exposed? These are questions that, if you are the child, you should be asking. As the teacher, you should be thinking about these types of questions relative to your kids and providing them with opportunities to gather that, to think about those interests, to understand the world of work, to understand one's place in that, to understand the skills that are necessary to be involved in roles such as work and independent living. Again, there's that exploration. We want people to make informed decisions about the career choices. The more informed one is, the more motivated one is to make a correct choice, and more motivated to see preparation in that career through to a productive end. So exploration is a key part of this, as wide and as broad as we can possibly provide our students, so that they're able to use as much information as they can to make those decisions. Developing a positive work attitude, again, understanding why work is valued, what our role is as workers, what those soft skills are, those employability skills that we need to constantly be honing. Developing usable work occupational vocabulary. Although we don't think about it, certainly it's something that has a language, and certainly in your textbook it speaks to a list of primary occupational vocabulary with which individuals should become aware. And the words that are in there are not just work related. They have relevance in the workplace, but to be able to understand what the word policy is, or the word paycheck is, or the word timetable, or the word anything that's associated with the occupational setting also can have relevance in one's daily life. And so understanding, when one is teaching vocabulary to our students, that developing a usable occupational vocabulary is going to help them in their current environments, but certainly in their future environments. We want to provide training options. We want to develop vocational skills. So the question is, where do we do these types of trainings? There are several options during the school years. One is regular adapted vocational education. Follow-up studies tell us that one of the great indicators of success in career or vocational settings as an adult is that that individual with a disability has been involved in vocational education during the school years. Again, the chance to practice those work behaviors, learn work skills, but in a school, in a supportive school setting, greatly increases the chances of being successful in adult roles in the workplace and in other areas. Work study while that student is in school, to be able to learn not only work tasks that we might find in school settings and in community settings, but and kind of that on-campus work activity goes along with that, but also to recognize again those inherent aspects of work that we don't often pay attention to, that but yet make such a difference in one's success in the workplace. They might be involved in community vocational training, in work experience, and supportive employment. These are all types of training options that take place out in the community as opposed to within the school setting. And it may be through a formalized program such as a VOTEC. It might be through work experience and learning on the job and serving an apprenticeship, for example. It might be in a supported employment type of setting where one learns basic work skills, both the task skills as well as the employability skills, and then is able to take them out into a workplace out in the community. So these are just some of the options. There's certainly plenty of vocational training options that are available to individuals, and certainly we don't want to rule out access to community colleges, even to four-year universities for individuals with disabilities in seeking their goals for employment.